but they carried gum with them, and almost every service, but certainly on Decoration Day. Now, so because Uncle Grady is my uncle, so I always went to him, and I know he was covered. I always had double mint or juicy fruit. I'm a juicy fruit guy myself. So I had to go find him and do that. Many times on Saturdays, before Decoration Day, we would come down to clean up the cemetery and prepare the grounds, and at that time to assemble all of those wood tables.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And, it was an amazing thing to see those wood tables, and besides, to me, the idea of what was going to cover them later on that day. In 1967, I was 14, and it was time for me to come down on the Saturday before, and I knew my dad couldn't come that day, so my mom brought me down here. And the year before that, in 66, about this time of year, we had lost my sister when she was 11 years old to a tragic accident. Now, my parents took that opportunity then to get a plot in the cemetery. I mean, they knew they were going to be here anyway, but because we had the sister to bury, we got the plot then. Well, come 1 year later, and it's time for Decoration Day, and Dad sent me down here. He had one of those little concrete curbs put around our plot of 6, and he said, "Boy, I'm going to have some dirt brought down there. You go move that dirt into the plot." Well, I'm 14, and I come down here, and there's 2 or 3 yards done. Now, anybody that's seen that, knows that not only does it look big, but with every shovel you take, it seems to get bigger. And well, I began doing that and knowing that, oh, this is going to be rough. And then my Uncle Arthur, who had Barbara's daddy, by the way, had his own shovel. He was doing some other things in the cemetery that day. Well, he came over, and of course, I'm the son of his youngest brother. So he says, "Your daddy sent you down here?" I said, "Yes, sir." "He sent you down here to move all that dirt in there?" I said, "Yes, sir, he did." He says, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm not doing too good." So he says, "How about if I help you?" I said, "Yes, sir." and of course, he moved twice the dirt in half the time. I think I'd still be out there digging if he didn't help me that day. The kids my age, and maybe this girl over here that's already talked a little bit, and a couple of my running buddies in here, Bill Samuels and Ray Helm, we learned how to run around that cemetery. Now, my dad had told me it was disrespectful to step on top of a grave. So we just had channels. We could run this way, we could run this way. We play hide and go seek and chase out there, but I knew my way around. And also what it did, it allowed me to know more about the history of the church, to know where those gravestones were and what was that all about. Dad showed me where our family and friends were buried out there as time went on. And one day we walked over, I'm just going to kind of point, it's at the front of the cemetery right over here. You can actually see it through the fence. And there was a gravestone that had exactly my name on it. Patrick Stephen Hogan. So I didn't know any history about that. I didn't know. All I knew was spooky. To see your name right there, big old letters. Well, he explained to me about who that was and why he was buried here, and we'll talk about him more in just a minute. But that was really pretty neat. It was interesting when I realized that this place was established in 1845. So some of the first people that were here, they might have been born. So we went out there in the cemetery, and we found those people that started with 1700 and something. And we went and found those places. Went, wow, they were born in that century. And now here they are buried in those first few years that College Man was here. That was really something. obviously, I haven't missed many meals. And the idea that all those tables, and now all of those tables, would be covered with covered dishes. I know my mom brought them down and were sitting in the car, you know, until after this. We always wondered if food's still gonna be good. That we would go, as soon as this was over, we'd go cover those tables. Now, I knew which aunt and which cousin had the best stuff. They had the best this or the best that. So I tried to get the biggest plate I could and run around to those best ones. Now, if you knew that if you didn't get something that you wanted right then, you might, and you had to go eat and then come back, you might not get any more of that stuff. So you had to get the biggest plate that you could. Well, Frank Racer, Barbara's husband, helped me one year. He saw my plight, and Frank also can do some bills, if you've been around him. So he had these plates that were oval, and they were this big around. And not only, they had little lips around the outside. So he brought me, of course, he had one for himself, but he brought one for me, and boy, my decoration day got better. For most of the years of my younger life here, my dad and Charles Tankersley alternated years of leading the singing here. Now, you have to kind of imagine that there wasn't a choir loft then, you know, so the church kind of ended right here, and if I remember right, that picture right in the back was right on the back wall, right? Okay, that's what we looked at all the time. And so when we had a single piano, and some singing would happen. Now, I'm going to use my Bible here. But what they would do is they'd roll the songbook up in their left hand. Now, I think this was the song we were singing, but it really didn't matter. Charles and Dad knew the song. I mean, they didn't even look at this. But they did, they would walk down to all right up in here, and I thought we might try this today.
All right.
We try a little 1960s deal here.
Yeah.
How about Blessed Assurance?
Oh, yeah.
We all know Blessed Assurance. And so let's, I'll lead this, and y'all need to sing with me. Okay. Okay. Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine. Heir of salvation, purchased of God, born of His Spirit, lost in His love. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. One more time with the chorus. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. Hey, we can do this.
Yeah.
The Liston Hogan clan has a long history here. It's just really, the pamphlet that Debbie has prepared is really kind of unbelievable. A lot of us in here that had some of that history have been able to share it with her, but putting it together over these last few months has been her work, and I hope you'll grab one before you leave today. Seth Bell Liston brought his family to this area from Tennessee in the 1880s. He acquired the property that's just right across the road from the cemetery, right over here, a couple of 100 acres. He and his wife Betty had several children, and the third of those children was Henry Walter Liston. Henry found Maggie Lou Basinger in the very early 1900s. And the two of them in 1907 started having kids. You don't need to Yeah, they start doing that. They start having kids, and they had 4 of them. They had Tom, Dick, Harry, and Lillian. At least 2 of them are here today. Is Harry here? Okay, Harry's over there, good, all right. We lost Tom just a few weeks ago, the oldest boy of the oldest boy. And I'm sorry he couldn't be here with us today. Now, Henry and Maggie had 6 boys. They are Curtis, Arthur, Earl, Walter, Claude, and Grady. Just after Grady was born in 1918, Mr. Liston died of the terrible influenza epidemic that was across the United States. It took a lot of people, including Mr. Liston. Now, you heard Barbara say a while ago, all of the cousins, all the sons and daughters of the boys, those 6, and I'll add a couple here in a minute, we're all knew Miss Maggie Lou Basinger as Big Mama. So I never knew anything but that. But the interesting thing was, I was only 7 years old when Maggie died in 1960. So I barely got to know her, and she'd already had a stroke by then, so she wasn't as active as she had been, but with so many other people that were in this room and knew her more. Now, we'll shift a little bit. Patrick Stephen Hogan, which way? I'm his namesake or he's mine, brought his family here from Virginia in 1875. He was a Civil War hero for the South. And of course, Virginia was torn up after the Civil War. It was ravaged. And, but after a while, he and his wife, Winfred, they had many children. But the 9th of those was Joseph Emmett Hogan. He was also known as Sam. And Sam and his first wife had 2 boys, Edwin and Raymond.